Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. So today we've learned that Microsoft was laying off 10,000 people. And it's an all too familiar news, so much familiar that there is an actual website at layoffs.fyi where you can track all of the tech layoffs that have happened. And we can see 13% for Meta, 5% for Amazon, 10% for Salesforce, 25% for Booking, Twitter 50% layoffs, so tremendous amounts of layoffs. And so you may think these businesses must be struggling. That must be the reason why they're laying off so many people. And so one question I want to ask in this video is tech really struggling or is it thriving with fewer people? And I'm going to argue, of course, that they're thriving with fewer people. So tech is tech laying off because it is actually, in fact, struggling? Because it is the narrative that is being pushed out by a lot of the news out there that big tech is struggling, and that's the reason why they're laying off, because they see a recession. But I do believe that is a narrative. Let's look at this. So you have Microsoft. Microsoft announced that they are planning to lay off 10,000 workers amid economic uncertainty. So they have to refocus on their strategic priorities while there is high uncertainty. And it's the biggest layoff plan, right? It's the biggest layoff plan in Microsoft since the Nokia acquisition and the fiasco that it was, where they laid off about 25,000 people. So that's what they claim, right? That's what at least the newspapers are reporting. Yet, in fact, we know that Microsoft is probably not that fearful about the future because they're investing $10 billion in ChatGPT, and they have so many other initiatives on which they're firing on all cylinders, developing new products, competing with CrowdStrike on cybersecurity, Zoom with Microsoft Teams. So they have a lot of things going on, which leads me to think that they actually do not necessarily see a recession coming, at least in their investment, but they are blaming economic uncertainty for their layoffs. Let's talk about Tesla. So Tesla is the same way. Tesla reportedly plans more layoffs. So Tesla fired 5% of the staff about 8 months ago, and they want to lay off more people. Apparently, it's a rumor. And yet, what do they do? Right? What do they blame? Well, they blame the same thing. They say the reason for these layoffs is Tesla has been canceling orders. People have been canceling orders for Tesla, so that's one of the reasons why there is these layoffs. But again, one of the questions that I ask is, would Tesla be investing so much money, right? 716 millions recently. That was 8 days ago. In their plans, would they be investing so much if they doubted the future, if they doubted demand? And no, they wouldn't be investing so much if they doubted demand. But they do blame the recession for layoffs and say we're laying off because of economic uncertainty. So they're blaming this external factor. And furthermore, one thing that we've been doing even longer than layoffs is hiring freezes. So hiring freezes have been going on for about a year now. And a hiring freeze in general equals to a reduction in force of 5% typically, because you have natural people retiring, people changing jobs for reasons that have nothing to do with the company. So you have a natural attrition in the number of employees. But my argument is that when productivity gains from technology are so profound, these companies need to engage in a more purposeful reduction in force than 5%. They need to let go of more than 5% of their workforce in 1 year. So a hiring freeze doesn't work if you have to let go more than 5%, because hiring freeze is typically just about 5%. So our current economic times, and we're in a recession, it's well accepted now. Most business actors believe we're in a recession. Customers see it. They see inflation. They see slowing demand. So it's well accepted in the business world that we're in a recession. And our company is taking advantage and using this time as an opportunity to lay off more people. And I do believe that is the case. Let me tell you why. You may know this quote from Winston Churchill, probably one of my favorite business/non-business quote, but that really applies to business, which is the idea that never let a good crisis go to waste. So in 2021, when everything was booming, You could not have gotten away with a 10% layoff or 5% layoff. Your employees wouldn't have liked that. They see you're struggling. So they see you're doing well. They see the stock prices outstanding. They wouldn't have fallen for that, and so they would be resentful towards the company laying off when stock price is up, when everything's doing well, when the economy is overeating. They're not going to accept that, but they're much more likely to accept layoffs when economic times are bad, which is another way of saying what was not possible before is now possible. And so my best guess is yes, companies are using the recession as an opportunity to lay off people smoothly. All right, smoothly. They can lay off people anytime they want, but they're using it as a way to do it smoothly. So just like in Microsoft's case, they used the failed Nokia acquisition, well, at least the not so productive Nokia acquisition. They used that as an excuse to lay off 25,000 people, reorganization of some sort as an excuse. Today, a lot of companies are using this as an excuse also to lay off people, but do not be fooled, and that's the point of this video. They're not laying off because the business is doing bad. They are laying off because they do not need as many people, because they became more productive. And it's an easy way to reduce force, to do a mass layoff when business is bad. And so, in conclusion, what I'll say is mass layoffs when business is booming, they're not well received. All remaining employees are not going to like to see their fellow employees go, their fellow staff members go. They're more likely to quit, more likely to engage in counterproductive work behavior, etc., because they see, the company is doing well and they're laying off people. And they're likely to blame the CEO, saying, this layoff is the fault of the CEO. But when mass layoffs happen because it's a bad time out there, say 6 months of recession like we have, remaining employees are much more likely to understand. They're much more likely to blame layoff on bad times. If it's bad times in the economy, they're less likely to quit. They're less likely to engage in counterproductive work behavior because they see the recession is here. And they are more likely to blame the Fed or to blame macro. So that's why we say never let a good crisis go to waste. When you lay off in a recession, it's easy for a CEO to blame the economy. And by blaming the economy, then the CEO is kind of off the hook, and employees are not as resentful towards the CEO and towards the company. So I believe that's why. I believe many companies are waiting for this opportunity to lay off. And we've seen during the C19 2020 era, many companies took this opportunity as an opportunity to lay off and did not always rehire. Well, the same truth is going to be here for Microsoft. Let me conclude by showing you some data that I computed about productivity. So productivity has been increasing for tech firms. And why? Because tech firms are more and more software driven and less human driven. I mean, when's the last time you talked to someone working at Microsoft or working at Google because you had an issue, right? Probably never. But you probably have worked with people at a bank because you've had an issue, right? That's because banks are run by people, and big tech is run by software, and the software hired by big tech, the software used by big tech is being worked on by people. So people work on the software, and the software runs the business. That's the idea of most of these big tech companies. And so if you look at Microsoft, for the past 12 years, right, revenue per employee moved from 600,000 to about 900,000. So they've had a good third increase in productivity at Microsoft, which is pretty good, which is fairly impressive. So I can confidently say productivity is increasing, and the company needs less people as revenue grows because the productivity is increasing. So, you need 1/3 fewer people to do the same amount of revenue at Microsoft. So it's beyond the 5% natural attrition rate if you do a hiring freeze. And if you look at Tesla, Tesla is even crazier. Look at the increase of productivity at a company like Tesla, which announced 5% layoffs and is about to announce another round of layoffs probably soon, according to that rumor article. And Tesla went from 100,000 in 2010, doesn't really matter because they were so nascent then, but now to about, close to 900,000, 800,000 right now. And that's probably going to keep going through the roof. So that's why in all of my analysis, I have productivity, because productivity is so important. And you need to see businesses become more and more productive. And that is the theme of our era, really. And the theme of a lot of growth stocks and tech stocks. Legacy businesses used to be entirely human-driven. The consumer faces a human in day-to-day operation. Modern-day businesses are software-driven. The most successful businesses of today will be software-driven. So the customer sees the software and interacts directly with the software, and the software runs the business. And it's a human-driven software that drives the business. So the humans work on the software and they don't work on running the business day to day. They just work on running the software, i.e. running the machine that runs the company. The role of the employee is moving from running the company to improving, fixing, and upgrading the software or the factory or the machine that drives the company. That's a major shift. And my anticipation is that in the late 2020s, we're going to see a major shift where so many companies are able to operate much closer to a big tech, because they're implementing all of this SaaS software, all of these new data-driven processes, the whole big data movement, big data trend. Companies like Snowflake, Palantir, all of these companies walk towards that and towards helping the company be software driven, like a Google is software driven, right? YouTube, you don't interact with any human at YouTube. It's the software runs everything, the algorithm runs everything. And I believe most companies will be like that. And what happens when you make that move is you become so much more productive. And it's not surprising to see that for Tesla, a company whose CEO brags about building the machine that builds the machine. That's the same concept. So anyways, none of this has been investment advice. This is just entertainment. Thank you for following my channel. I appreciate if you can like and subscribe. It really helps me out. Thank you so much and have a great day.